So there is a fluid used here, which is a different fluid here, and the other circuit is using a different fluid. The two different fluids which have been used for the left-hand side circuit and the right-hand side circuit here. Okay, and what I do is I will go and plot the piston extraction time, and I'll simulate both these circuits here. Okay, so these are two circuits with two different fluids, and if you see in the graph, the piston extraction time for the two cylinders was different because the viscosity of one fluid was different compared to the other. So it actually affected the piston extraction times. So anyone doing a practical like this, that study of fluids and viscosities and maybe temperature also, if you want to include, on the effect of a hydraulic circuit. So in Automation Studio, there are a lot of fluids available with their viscosity properties, and you can do these studies here. Okay. Besides that, in Automation Studio, you also have, in some syllabus I saw, the study of line types and materials. So in Automation Studio, we have things like stainless steel, rusted steel, internal roughness of pipes, aluminum, carbon steel, concrete lines. What is the type of a line? In the market, there are standards for lines. For example, DN50. In DN50, the cross-sectional area will be this much. All these are specified by the industry here. So anyone wanting to do a study of these lines which are used in industry, so that is also available in Automation Studio. Okay. So this was viscosity of fluids and the effect of fluids on this thing. Now, lot of times I keep getting calls from professors that we want to do a study of pneumatic air distribution system, and how can we perform such a practical. So in Automation Studio, it's very easy. So anyone having a practical of air distribution system and air preparation units, you can do this in Automation Studio. For example, there is air generation and conditioning. So you have an air compressor, you have a cooler, you have a drain. So these components are there in the air preparation part. And you also have a study of FRL. I've seen in one of the practicals there, study of FRL unit. So FRL unit will consist of these components internally, and we can also do a circuit for that. But that's a very basic circuit. But for air distribution systems, there are different topologies which are there for air distribution systems. For example, one is the totally inline conventional network. Then there's something known as an octopus network. And then there is something known as a closed loop air distribution system. So how do we design this in Automation Studio? So if you go to your textbooks, I've seen typically people are following textbooks such as Anthony Esposito or Majumdar. These are typically used in India, I have seen. And this practical is not there in Esposito, but Majumdar textbook has got this thing of air distribution system, air preparation. So if you see, these parameters are very well defined. That, for example, pressure relief valve should have typically a 8 bar pressure here. Then the pressure drop to be maintained is 0.03 bar on the main line. So these definitions have already been specified by the textbooks. Using these specifications, we can go ahead and build a particular circuit. So in this case, we've taken a single line segment, and we've taken an 8 bar pressure relief valve, a compressor which delivers 1200 RPM, 300 cubic centimeters per revolution. And we have taken a line which is 150 meters and a diameter of 25 mm. So if I simulate this particular circuit here, at 25 mm, it is showing me a pressure drop of 0.05 bar. Okay. If I go to this line now, I go to this line, and instead of 25 mm, let's say I change it to 15 mm. All the other parameters remain constant. You can see that this pressure drop now for a smaller diameter pipe is become very high, 0.258 bar. So a student can play around with the diameter of the pipe and define at one point that, okay, I've got a pressure drop now of 0.03 bar, which is acceptable. So I change it to 25 mm. You can see that this particular value is acceptable for these particular conditions. So this is the main line. But now what happens is, when the entire distribution system has to be designed. So in this case, we built a circular closed loop air distribution system. And in certain practicals, I've seen that there's a study of pressure drop across fittings. Okay, so in automation studio, you can put measuring instruments across elbow fittings against T-joint fittings here, and you can measure those pressure drops also. So I built this particular air distribution system like this. I simulate it. I can go to each individual pipe length, and I can change the length or the diameters of these, and I can measure the pressure drops at various points. For example, the specifications say that from the start point, that is this point, to the end point, that is this point, where the pneumatic motor is running, the pressure drop should not cross more than 0.1 bar. In this case, we maintain 0.097 bar. So this condition is met. Then obviously you can see the pressure drops across the other fittings here. So in this way, you can play around with all the line segments, the fittings, the diameters, lengths, and you can actually build the entire air distribution system. The software also does nice things. For example, at this point, you can see the air is coming from both sides, left and right, because the air demand here is higher. So software does this very beautiful animation and simulation also. Okay, so very easily built. Another thing is that IndiaSoft, we can provide you all these circuits free of cost. So even if you end up buying the software tomorrow, this entire list of circuits, we have more than, in our library, we have more than 400 to 500 circuits from all across India. And these we can give you as bonus along with the software. So you don't have to sit and create this. They can all be study practicals. Now coming to linear actuators, again a popular what do you say, practical in all diploma engineering subjects, study of linear actuator. But lot of teachers do not know how to conduct these particular practicals. What is the statement of the problem and what is the conclusion? So we have defined here different scenarios as to how do you do a practical for study of linear actuator. Number one, in the market, there are different type of actuators. Single acting, double acting, with spring, spring on both sides, telescopic cylinders, brake cylinder. There's an entire list of actuators in Automation Studio. But for in our example, let's take the example of a simple double acting piston here. So in the first circuit, that is this particular circuit here, this is the first circuit we are going to study. In this particular circuit, we have taken a 100 mm, what do you say this thing? A 0-degree inclination and a 6,700 kg load on this particular piston rod here, okay, at 80 bars. So if I simulate this first circuit here, 6.7 tons of this thing at 0 degrees, and 100 mm is the diameter of the piston. If I simulate this particular circuit, the piston extracts properly. There's absolutely no problem here. In the graph, you can see piston is extracting, it is coming back. Okay. But now, if I change the cylinder inclination to 90 degrees, the same condition, these two circuits are exactly the same, but in the second circuit, I have changed the inclination to 90 degrees vertical. Because of gravity and the alignment of the cylinder, you can see that at 80 bars and a vertical 90-degree inclination, the cylinder cannot, the piston cannot extend. It cannot handle such a high load by doing a simple inclination of 90 degrees. So to get rid of that, now what can I do? I can do different situations. So I keep it at 90 degrees, but I change the pressure relief valve setting to 100 bar. I increase the system pressure. If I simulate this circuit now, you can see the piston is extracting. So at 100 bar is sufficient to raise this particular piston. Whereas in the previous case, 80 bar was not sufficient. In this case, it is sufficient. Another thing I can do is that maintaining pressure relief, the system pressure at 80 bar, I go and change the diameter of my piston here. I make it 150 mm. Okay. And now I extend my cylinder. It extends. So a 6.7 kg load at 90-degree inclination can be solved by doing two things. One is increase the system pressure or increase the diameter of the cylinder. So such type of experiments you can design for your students, and they will have a good conclusion because you're actually seeing the behavior. And the same thing can also be practical, and also be a practical that study of pressure relief valve. So pressure relief valve of 100 bar, 80 bar, how it affects the entire system. So such type of interesting practicals you can do by using Automation Studio. So this is a linear actuator study. There are certain practicals I saw even for rotary actuators. Now rotary actuators, again in Automation Studio, we have different type of hydraulic pneumatic motors here. These are unidirectional, bidirectional, shaft driven, with drain. So these are different types of rotary actuators. So here you can see we are driving a hydraulic motor here attached to a flywheel, and by operating this valve, I can see the bidirectional motor going in both directions. So this is at a particular RPM. Also, if you see a rotary actuator which is like this, which is not a free rotating actuator, but it has a degree inclination. This type of rotary actuator, you can also perform a circuit like this. Yeah, 6.58 degrees. I can change the rotation angle of this. So this is a circuit for rotary actuator. Same thing here. If I change the pressure relief valve settings on both sides here, I can operate the rotary actuator. So there are different configurations of circuits by which you can operate these rotary actuators here. So this is study of rotary actuators. The previous one was linear actuator. You can create circuits like this. Then one of the most popular practicals which we see is meter in, meter out circuits. Okay. And in the laboratory on a hardware trainer kit, it is very difficult to actually measure the piston extraction times, because the pistons are moving so fast, it is going cut, it is operating. So for a particular setting, you really cannot exactly get the piston extraction time. So in Automation Studio, you can very well do this because it's a simulation software. You can plot these properties, you can measure the piston extraction times. Now, metering circuits, there are two formats. One is the meter in configuration and one is the meter out configuration. Now, in meter in configuration, what meter in means is that the fluid coming into the particular actuator. So this is the double acting cylinder and fluid is coming from here. So this particular valve is a meter in valve. What this means is that the fluid going into the actuator here can be controlled by this orifice, whereas when in the reverse direction, this non-return valve will open and allow full flow like this. So you're controlling the fluid coming into the actuator. That is why it is called in. Okay. Similarly, in meter in, you can put a meter in circuit on both sides of the cylinder. Just hold on. So in this particular circuit, when the fluid is coming from left-hand side into the cylinder, you're controlling the fluid coming in, and from the reverse direction also, the fluid coming into the rod side, that also you're controlling. So both these circuits are both meter in circuits. Okay. So I'll operate the first circuit here. So this is the orifice which I can control here, the orifice of this valve. So in the forward direction, it is controlled by this orifice valve. So flow is less. In the reverse direction, this non-return valve will open and I get full speed here in reverse direction. So I'm controlling the fluid going into the particular cylinder here. In the second circuit, in the forward direction, I'm controlling the fluid through this particular orifice here. And in the reverse direction also, I am controlling the fluid going into this particular cylinder from the opposite side. So from both sides, I can control the flow in. So this is an in configuration, meter in. So what is meter out? Meter out means the flow coming out of a particular cylinder. That means flow will come like this, and while coming out, it is passing through this orifice valve here. Okay, whereas in the reverse direction, if fluid is coming from down here like this, then this non-return valve opens. So in this case, in this meter out configuration, the fluid coming out of this particular cylinder is metered here. That is why it is called a meter out configuration. Similarly, in the same circuit, you can have meter out on both sides. That means in the forward direction, fluid will come like this and get monitored on the out by this particular orifice here. Reverse direction, fluid will come like this, and it is restricted from this orifice valve. So this is a meter out configuration. So you can actually have a practical in which you can have a plotted here like this. You can put the linear position of the cylinder here. You can plot it. Piston is moving like this. Very fine. But if I change this particular orifice now, I increase the internal diameter and I re-simulate, it goes faster. So students can have a practical based on this graph that for a particular orifice opening and flow of this much, piston extracted in so much time vis-a-vis another situation. You can do this what if type of practicals in Automation Studio for a metering circuit. So that was metering. Then in certain syllabuses, I saw the word design being used, and it was the problem statement for the practical was based on a particular problem situation, please go and design a particular circuit. Because the word design is used very, very differently and interpretation is very different from college to college, teacher to teacher. A lot of people assume that once I've built and connected particular components and they move, is design. No, that is not design. That design means only functional design, that is going to move left, right, etc. Real design means that if I want to extract a piston from 0 to 100 in exactly 5 seconds, how do I solve this entire circuit? That is a design-based problem. So I think in Gujarat somewhere there was a design-based real-life situation, and one more state. There were 2 or 3 states in which the word design was used exactly as a technical engineering design problem. So how do I do a design problem in Automation Studio? We are going to do a cylinder extraction timing design problem. That this particular piston should extract from 0 to 100 in exactly 5 seconds or 2 seconds or 3 seconds. How do I do such a problem? Now, the beauty of Automation Studio is you don't have to sit and do mathematical calculations on paper. It gives you an entire module to do such problem solving. So for this piston to extract, first I go to my pump, and from my pump I go and note down the piston rated flow. My piston is giving 120 liters per minute cube. This is the flow coming from my piston, 120 liters per minute. I note this down. Okay, so this 120 liters per minute is coming from the piston. Then I from my pump. Then I go to my cylinder. I double click on my cylinder, and in this cylinder I have something known as sizing sheet module in Automation Studio. This is specifically meant for engineers. And in the sizing sheet module, I have an entire list of equations. So if you see this, these are all equations which are going to do your problem solving. Okay. So in these equations, there is an input side and there is an output side. There's an input side and there's an output side. So I just go through these equations and I choose a particular equation in which I know the inputs and I want the software to calculate the outputs. What do I know? I know that my flow coming from my pump, that is piston side flow, is 120 liters per minute. I enter that value. Piston diameter is 100 and want a piston extension time of, let's say, 5 seconds. I enter this value. The moment I enter the value, the software automatically calculates the stroke. I don't have to sit and solve anything. I just entered 5 seconds here and 120 liters per minute. Software automatically calculated that the stroke for this piston extraction will be so and so mm. I say transfer this value to the particular component and I say okay. I'm going to simulate this circuit and I'm going to see my piston extraction time. So I simulate this. Okay, I stopped the simulation, and now I put my measuring instruments here, and you'll see here 4.916 was the piston extraction time. So I achieved exactly 5 seconds of piston extraction time. So such type of problem solving can be done very, very easily in Automation Studio. So these are design based problems. If you want to see the sizing sheet manager here, these are the equations available. You can do very, very powerful calculations also. Also the equations which are used to solve in the background, there is a listing of these equations also available here if you want to refer to these. Otherwise you can directly go select a particular equation, put in the values you know, it will automatically calculate the values you don't know, and you can solve your particular problems. So this is a piston extraction timing problem solved for 5 seconds. Another small sizing problem we'll take is that of a motor. Again, it is a design based problem, and in this we are going to calculate the RPM of a particular motor at a fixed speed. So this particular unidirectional motor, hydraulic motor, we want this motor to operate at a particular RPM. So what do? I go to the sizing module. I tell the software I want this motor to operate at 600 RPM. A pressure relief valve is at 80 bar. Okay. Software automatically calculated what is the displacement required to come from the pump. For this motor to operate at 600 RPM, I need a displacement of 106 cubic this thing per revolution. So this value software automatically calculates. Okay, 106.25 is the displacement required. So I copy this value. Then I go to my pump, and I'll tell my pump that you please give me a displacement of this much. So that displacement value from my motor I enter here. I say paste here. I say 600 RPM. Software automatically calculates the flow rate of the pump here. Output flow, it automatically calculates. I say okay. I'll simulate my circuit now. You'll see the motor is operating at 600 RPM. So what did I do? I went to the motor. For the motor to operate at 600 RPM, I asked the software, what is the displacement required from the pump? Then I went to my pump and I told my pump, please give a displacement of this particular value. And I solved my particular problem here in 2 or 3 easy steps. So this is how you do sizing based problems in Automation Studio. That was 2 design based problems. Then another very popular practical, series and parallel pistons. Okay, now series parallel pistons is there in almost every syllabus. People connect them and they just observe the movement, but nobody knows the pros and cons of a series and parallel piston configuration. What are the problems faced and how to solve them? Now in the first case, these are 2 pistons which are connected in series. Okay, and these are totally identical pistons. If I simulate this circuit in series, you will notice that the second piston did not extract completely. That is because the volume of the first cylinder, the rod side volume, was not sufficient to fill this entire piston side volume of the second cylinder, and the second cylinder could not extract fully here. Okay, and I'll just put on the graph here. I'll simulate this circuit again. So the first study of a series configuration is that you see here the 2 pistons were not in coordination because the piston, the rod side volume of piston A1 was not equal to fill the piston side volume of A2. That why there is no synchronization. They were out of sync. So to solve this particular problem, we need to make the piston side volume of the second cylinder equal to rod side volume of the first cylinder. And in this case, the sizing module comes in very, very handy. I'll show you how to do this. It is done in 2-3 easy steps. Okay, I go to my first cylinder here. And in this cylinder, I note down my rod side volume. Where is the rod side volume here? Rod side volume is 2945. Okay, and note down this volume 2945. Okay, I go to my second cylinder. I go to my sizing sheet. Okay, and in my sizing sheet, I tell the software that I know that my piston side volume is 2945, stroke is 500 mm. The software automatically calculates the piston diameter here. Automatically it calculates. I say transfer this value. You see this? The rod side volume of first piston has now been made equal to the piston side volume of second cylinder here. Now if I simulate this particular circuit, I'll pause the simulation. You can see both the pistons extracted right to the end position here. There was no mismatch. In the graph, if you see, both the graphs are in synchronization with each other here. So this is a simple practical of series, a series configuration of two particular cylinders. A very interesting practical. You can just change the volumes and you can have a very nice practical like this. Now the second problem is of parallel cylinders here. In parallel cylinders, there's another problem. I have taken these two parallel cylinders here. Okay. And parallel cylinders, the first cylinder is 90 degrees, 0 kgs. The second cylinder also, I'll make it at 0 kgs, external load. Both are at 0 kgs. I simulate the circuit. They move together. There's absolutely no problem because there's no load on the cylinders. I go to the second cylinder and I put an external mass of 1500 kgs. The moment I do this and I simulate the circuit, see what happens. Because of the additional load, the entire fluid first went to the cylinder without any load. It extended that entire piston. Then the fluid came back to my second cylinder and extended my second cylinder. So the problems here faced are very different. And if you see the graph generated for a parallel cylinder was like this, with loading conditions here. So these are practicals. Students can actually see the behavior. You cannot do these on trainer kits. Most of these practicals you cannot do on trainer kits, or neither can you measure all these values. So this is series and parallel combination of cylinders. Then we'll come to cylinder reciprocating. This is another practical I've seen in a lot of diploma practicals for hydraulics, pneumatics. Cylinder reciprocating can be done in two ways. One is you can use an electrical circuit here. So by using an electrical circuit, if you see on this particular cylinder, there are two sensors mounted. Sensor 1 and sensor 2. So when the cylinder piston is at 0 position, sensor 1 is triggered, then sensor 2 is triggered. These sensors give the signal to this electrical circuit here. Okay, two solenoids here. This is electro-hydraulic circuit. If I simulate the circuit, you can see an electro-hydraulic reciprocating circuit here. We can see the sensor switches opening, closing. Okay, you can see the sensors triggering here. So this is an electro-hydraulic reciprocating circuit. But if you want to make a reciprocating circuit which is not using electro, then you can do it by using what is known as sequence valves here. These are two sequence valves used, and this is a pilot operated hydraulic valve here. So in this case, what happens is first fluid goes here. There's no restriction. Piston extracts. Then the entire fluid diverts back to this and operates this particular valve, and vice versa. So this is nothing to do with electro. This is by using two sequence valves in a particular configuration and a pilot directional valve, we can achieve reciprocating circuit here. So reciprocating by using two methods here. Okay, you can choose which one you want to follow. Then after that, we also have a practical for sequencing. Again, there was a lot of syllabuses I saw. Sequencing circuit. Sequencing means first one piston extracts, then the other in various combinations. So the first circuit is that piston 1 will extract. Once it reaches the end position, the extra pressure will come to the second cylinder and then extract the second cylinder. So first cylinder extracts, then the second. And there are two sequence valves used here. Okay. In the second circuit, there's only one sequence valve. But in this circuit, what will happen is first piston, second piston, but while retraction, both will come back together. Whereas in the first circuit here, in the reverse direction, one will come back, then the second one will come back. Here, both will come back in the second circuit here. Also, if you want to use a mechanically triggered valve, for example, this piston will extract, the rod will go and activate a valve here mechanically. So this mechanically actuated sequencing is also possible. So depending on what you want to follow, there are a lot of sequencing circuits. Even if you go on Google or even your textbooks, there are a lot of them available. Then another circuit was lift and hold. This is another practical we saw in diploma. Okay, so now this particular valve is known as the lift and hold valve. There's an explanation for this counterbalance valve here. Okay, so in one circuit here, there is no counterbalance valve. So the piston is cylinder is mounted at -90 degrees, 3,500 kgs. And in the circuit on the left, 3,500 kgs, but with a counterbalance valve. So first we'll operate the circuit on the right hand side without the counterbalance valve. And if you see, it is very, very unstable. When I'm getting it down, you can see it is actually vibrating, very unstable action here. Whereas with the counterbalance valve, here, the operation is very steady. You see, it does not jerk and oscillate like the other circuit. Very, very steady lift and hold operation here. So you can take plots of this also as to how the circuit was unstable with the previous valve and then with the counterbalance valve here. So this practical also you can perform easily. Then study of accumulator. Accumulator, again, in Automation Studio, you can put an accumulator and students can actually see the effect of speed on a particular actuator because of the accumulator. So we have different types of accumulator: gas loaded, spring, dead weight, hydropneumatic accumulators. This study is there. This study you can do from textbook. The actual implementation you can do in Automation Studio. Now here, if you see, there are two circuits here. The left hand side circuit is without an accumulator. Okay, and exactly the same circuit on the right hand side is with an accumulator here. Identical circuits, and we want to see the difference. So when I simulate my circuit, you can see the accumulator charges here. You have to give it time to charge. Okay, it is charged. Now my left hand side circuit, I'll simulate piston extracts. Then the circuit on the right hand side with the accumulator, I operated. Okay, it happened fast, but I'll show you the effect here. If you see the circuit, the yellow line without the accumulator, the piston took a longer time here. Whereas the circuit with the accumulator, the piston shot from 0 to 100 in a very short time. So there's a massive speed difference in the piston extraction time of the circuit by using an accumulator. So you can have a practical in which you can measure the extraction times here. This is without accumulator, it took so much time. And then you do with accumulator, this was the time taken. So such type of practicals you can do. Okay, so this was accumulator. You can take printout, very good practicals you can do. Then again, there's regenerative circuit, another practical I've seen in all diploma colleges. Regeneration is when you take fluid from the output side and send it back to the input side. And here we can actually plot the effect of a regenerative circuit. You cannot do this on a trainer kit. These experiments are impossible. So if you see this first circuit without regeneration, okay, and the second one with regeneration. In regeneration, what you do is you take the fluid from the output and send off with and without regeneration. Okay, so I simulate the circuit. I operate my first circuit without regeneration and the second one with regeneration. Again, you can see the effect on the piston extraction time. So without regeneration, it took a long time. With regeneration, because of the extra fluid, it extracted very fast. So you can actually see these effects, which students cannot see in real life otherwise. So this was a regenerative circuit. Then speed control. See, speed control is mainly to do with a lot of things. You can change pump displacement. You can change the flow coming from the pump side, compressor side, or you can do a meter in, meter out configuration. So depending on what you want to do control speed with, it is up to you. For example, in the first circuit, control at source will control the forward and reverse speed, which means that at the source itself, from the compressor side, you are changing the speed of this particular system here. Okay, I change the orifice value at the source itself, and this can change the RPM of the hydraulic motor here by changing the input compressor flow itself. Then in the second case, control at source will control extraction and retraction. Now this is for a cylinder. The previous one was for a motor. This is for a cylinder. This is pneumatics by changing flow at the compressor side itself. And then the third is the meter in, meter out configuration here. So speed control can be done in different ways. Source, then the meter in, meter out used together. A lot of different methodologies for speed control. Not a problem. You can take plots also of these and measure the piston extraction times. Then there was a practical for pilot operated pneumatics. In pilot operated pneumatics, you see this particular valve, it has got pilot line on both sides. And on both sides, we put a source here. So from the left hand side, you can send a pilot line here. On the right hand side, there's another line connected here. So depending on which side you operate, this particular valve will operate by using a pilot connection. From left, from right. So this is a practical for a pilot operated valve. Okay. A lot of permutations, combinations are possible. This is a pilot operated pneumatic valve. Then another practical I saw in one of the syllabuses was pneumatic components with logical components. So in pneumatics, there are components which behave like AND gates, OR gates, and even in real life, in the industry, there are these logical components available in the market for pneumatics. And Automation Studio has that library. For example, this is an AND combination pneumatic valve, and I'll simulate this particular circuit. So only when both the inputs are on will this valve operate. This is the AND operation here. So both the input sources have to be turned on. So this is the AND operation. Then there's another practical for on delay timer in pneumatics. So in this case, I've done a setting of 4 seconds, and this is the delay timing valve here, pneumatics. So if I operate this valve, it will wait for 4 seconds, and then it will allow the valve to operate, the fluid to pass through. I'll operate this again. It waits for 4 seconds. I can set the internal timing, then it operates. Okay. Similarly, we have an off delay timer valve in pneumatics. So in forward direction, it is normal. In reverse direction, it will wait for 4 seconds and then it will retract. This way. So we have these logical components in Automation Studio. There's an entire library of these logical components for pneumatics. Automation Studio has more than 5,000 components. Okay. Then there are practicals which are based on industry systems. For example, hydraulic jack, press, etc. Now this is a circuit of a hydraulic jack. Now this is a circuit of a hydraulic jack, and this is a jack which when your car gets punctured, you put it under the car. In this case, there is no electrical supply, there is no hydraulic pump, motor, nothing. But this particular piston is operated by using a lever like this here. So how do I tell the software that I'm operating you by using a manual force? So I double click on this cylinder here, and I have something known as force curves. So there is driving force curve and there is resistive force curve here. Driving force curves has these two lines here, which means when the piston is extracting, I'm holding it and pulling it in the minus F direction. And while pushing it, I'm putting a plus F direction force here. So there are two forces. These are two lines here like this, which have been set here. Okay. So when I operate the circuit, this piston on the left will automatically start moving. That means you're applying a manual force. So this is pulling out liquid from the reservoir, and the piston on the right hand side is slowly elevating and lifting my car. Okay, I'll simulate this again. This is a hydraulic jack, and this is how it will behave. So this is another practical I've seen, and this circuit is also there in Anthony Esposito. Most of these circuits are your textbook circuits from Majumdar and Anthony Esposito. Then there's hydraulic press. Again, another practical which I saw in a lot of syllabuses. Hydraulic jack, press, lift, hydraulic lift. Okay. Now in this hydraulic press, we are using a pressure intensifier. Now this is a very, very high pressure hydraulic press in which you could be compressing rubber. Okay. And these are very, very high pressure pistons here. How do I generate such a pressure? So in Automation Studio, I have this pressure intensifier, and this is a 1:3 pressure intensifier. So whatever the pressure is at source, it will multiply it into 3 times. And that particular intensifier circuit is used. Also, on the cylinders, we have applied a very, very high resistive force. That means when the pistons are extracting, it is encountering a very, very high opposing force. So in Automation Studio, you can apply opposite loads which will act on this piston and give you a real life behavior. What are the opposing forces acting on these pistons? So if I simulate this circuit here, you'll see this. I'll just explain this to you. So the source system pressure was 80 bar, and because of the pressure intensifier, it is at the output side, it is giving a 220 bar pressure, which is very, very high. And this 220 bar pressure is used to operate these particular pistons, which are faced with very, very high. The rubber is very tough, so that opposing force is very high. So in these cases, you need a pressure intensifier to be used in such an application here. So this is a hydraulic press using a pressure intensifier circuit. Then there are other things which are, for example, let's say shaper machine. Again, this shaper machine practical was there in a lot of syllabus. Shaper machine is basically a table which is operated by a piston, a double rod piston, which works in front and reverse direction. So it goes forward and then retracts at a high speed, or vice versa, depending on exact what condition you want. So in this shaper machine, this is the piston used, double rod piston, sensor on both sides. In one direction, there's a meter out circuit used to control the flow in one direction. And we'll simulate this particular circuit. So this is a simulation of how a shaper circuit behaves. Actually, in degree, UG and PG, these are much, much complex circuits. But at diploma level, a simple circuit like this is enough to understand the application of a shaper machine. Okay, so this is a shaper machine circuit. Then, okay, hydraulic lift. Again, hydraulic lift was there in a lot of practicals we saw. Now, a hydraulic lift is actually nothing but a piston being actuated for a particular load and a particular height. Okay, so a hydraulic lift could be an elevator machine like this, which has got a hydraulic or pneumatic cylinder which is operating this cabin, or it could be a forklift machine like this, which has got hydraulic pistons here. Okay, so in this case, you see these buttons here. These are from the HMI libraries in Automation Studio. Automation Studio has a HMI library. So I say up, I say down. So this is a hydraulic lift. But in real life, at a very other level of creating hydraulic lift and machinery here, it is a very, very complex circuit like this, but it's not for diploma. But this is a, what do you call, a hydraulic forklift circuit here. In hydraulic forklift, you have something like a steering wheel for power steering. And then at the other end, you have these tilt cylinders. And then you have a lifting cylinder. This last cylinder is a lifting cylinder here. Okay. So actual industry circuits are quite different from the simple lift circuit which are mentioned in your diploma level syllabuses. This is just for information. But yes, in Automation Studios, you can build all these here. Okay. And there are a lot of other things. For example, I'll just need another 10 or 15 minutes. Certain circuits I have to show you PLCs also. For example, this is a mechatronic system, electrical control base, push, clamp, drill, lower. So first cylinder will push the part on the working table. Second one will clamp it. Third one, I'll drill the particular part. I'll unclamp it. I'll lower the component and push it to the tray. So such type of simple mechatronic system, there was a practical in a lot of syllabuses, design a simple mechatronic system. So you can build such type of mechatronic systems which are based on hydraulic pneumatic actuators and do these. Okay, so that was push clamp, there was a practical for PID control also. In one syllabus only I saw it. In Automation Studio, you can do a PID control of a hydraulic pneumatic circuit and see the behavior. Okay, so in PID control, what we do, this is a closed loop system. In this, the piston position, the piston has a sensor mounted on the piston that gives a signal to the control device. So this is a PID control, CTRL99. As an input signal, we are giving a graph. This is a graph which is going to operate the cylinder. And then as the what the controller will do is it will check the graph movement to the piston position. Are they in synchronization with each other? If not, it will generate a control signal and send it to the valve. So anyone who's teaching PID controls, I'll just simulate this. So for a PID value of 800, we can see that the piston is oscillating here like this. Okay. Then if I change the PID value to, let's say, 3.5, I put an integral gain value of 1 and 0. You can now see that the output piston is matching the input signal, which is a graph signal. So in such a way, you can do PID tuning practicals also. So you can take printouts of these oscillations, without oscillations, and put it in your journal. So this is a PID control practical. It is there in one syllabus I saw. Then Automation Studio also has digital electronics, AND gates, OR gates, SR, JK, D flip-flops, coders, decoders. You can do these practicals also. In this case, we have taken verification of De Morgan's theorem. De Morgan's theorem says that AB bar is equal to A bar plus B bar. Okay. And in Automation Studio, we build this circuit on the right-hand side, and we can do the verification. So for 0, 0, output is 1, 1. You can cross-check the truth. You can cross-check the truth table. If you say 1, 1, again the output is 1, 1. Then you change the inputs. So circuit 1 is equal to circuit 2. The outputs are the same here. You can do an entire truth table verification of this De Morgan's theorem here. Okay, by operating these inputs here. Okay, you can build any type of a digital electronic circuits here. Only thing which is not there in Automation Studio are the actual industry ICs. Those ICs are not available by, let's say, 7.4 series, 5.0 series, op-amp. Those are not there, but logical gates, decoders, SR, JK, D flip-flops, all of them are there. You can perform those practicals. Then in certain syllabuses, we've seen in mechatronics that they have introduced electrical, study of electrical circuits also. So RLC components. So for example, you can verify Ohm's and Kirchhoff's laws here. You can verify Ohm's and Kirchhoff's laws. So if you see in this particular circuit here, V is equal to IR across a 4000 ohm resistance here, 0.5 milliamps. So 12 volts coming from here. Okay, you can see the values of the voltages here. This can be verification of Ohm's law. Also here, if you see the total current coming here and these two resistors, 4 plus 6 milliamperes is equal to 10 milliamperes. So this is also verification. I'm not getting into detail because we're running out of time. But yes, these circuits, if I simulate, okay, they are giving these values. So 3.1 milliamperes coming to this particular parallel segment here. And you can see on the ammeters, there is 2 plus 1 is equal to 3. And 3 is what is leaving the entire loop here. Coming back here as 3.1 milliamps. Again, 0.4 and 2.6 is equal to 3. So that is the entire loop. So this verifies your Kirchhoff's law. It could be current law, voltage law. This is there. Then Automation Studio also has oscilloscopes, like a real oscilloscope in which you can do, let's say we take a circuit of a 3-phase rectifier. This is another practical I've seen in mechatronics syllabus in diploma. So we actually have a oscilloscope like this. If I simulate this, you can see the graph here, and these buttons actually behave like a real oscilloscope. Okay, You can see these waveforms here. So you can do things like three-phase rectifier, full wave rectifier. These experiments are possible. Okay. In electrical, in one section, I saw electrical actuators and control circuits of three-phase motors. So in that case, we can build a system for, let's say, a three-phase motor reversal circuit. I'll show you how that behaves in Automation Studio. So this is a circuit of a three-phase motor reversal. There are two banks of contactors here. So if the contactors at the bottom close, motor will run in one direction. If the contactors at the top close, it will go in reverse direction. So I'll simulate this particular circuit here. I start the simulation. The resistive torque on the motor I've kept at 0.1, very low resistance on the torque. Motor in forward direction. You can see the starting current and the current settle down. Okay. And you can see on the motor there is a positive RPM here, 1775 RPM. Then what I'll do is now I'll reverse the motor in reverse direction. I'll simulate this reverse direction. I'll give negative RPM on the motor here. Okay. Also, the beauty of the software is that if now I increase the resistive torque on my motor, you'll see in the graph that the currents will shoot up. And at one point, the fuses will blow. See the back EMF currents, they're shooting up because of such a high resistive torque. And the fuses have blown here. Okay, you can actually see the fuses blown here. But I've stopped the simulation. So such type of simulation you can do for electrical circuits also. So this is part of some syllabuses in electronics. Then, okay. Now we also have PLCs. Now in mechatronics, there are different practicals. Practical for AND gates, OR gates, digital logic by using PLCs, or then control of hydraulic pneumatic circuits using PLCs, using timers, counters. All these practicals are there in mechatronics. Very large list of PLC practicals. So in Automation Studio on the left hand side, you'll see we have Allen Bradley PLC, we have IC, we have Siemens. All three are available. Because we are running out of time, I had a lot of PLC circuits to show. AND gates, OR gates, how they are created, difference in timers, counters. But in one single circuit, I'll show you how a simulation can be done by using timer, counter, and a hydraulic circuit. So in this particular circuit, if you see on the hydraulic side, there's a piston which has got a sensor 1 and sensor 2, 0 and end position. Then the valve has two solenoids, okay, which will be operated. Now the two sensors on the cylinder will give signal to the PLC input card here. Here. Okay, this is the PLC input card. Sensor 1, sensor 2, these are sensor switches. The output of the PLC has two solenoids here, and these are connected to the valve. Okay. Then in the middle, you can just drag, drop, and create any logic you want. So this is an Allen Bradley circuit here. So when sensor 1 triggers, signal will come to IN0. It will operate the first solenoid. Piston will extract. Once piston extracts, this signal is given to the timer. The timer will count to 3 seconds. Okay. So piston will extract, timer will get triggered. It will wait for 3 seconds. Then the piston will retract. Okay. And every time the piston extracts, this counter will keep counting here. So in the same circuit, we have a T-on delay timer as well as a counter. Okay. So I'll simulate this particular circuit. The piston stays for 3 seconds at end position, and then it comes back. And this is very visual because anyone who's teaching PLCs will appreciate the beauty of this type of a simulation. You can see where the signal is coming, which switch is opening, closing, what is happening to the hydraulic circuit. Even on the timer here, you can see the timing count here. Every time the piston hits end position 1, 2, 3. Then this counter is counting here. Every time the piston hits the end position, it gives one incremental count. When it reaches 10, it resets the timer counter again. So such type of PLC based practicals are there, and very typically we've seen practicals in PLCs for washing machine and traffic light. So before closing my demonstration, I'll show you those. So we have traffic light signal. A traffic light signal is a very popular experiment. It uses 3 T-on delay timers in sequence. So one light will come on, stay on for 10 seconds, then the next light, then the next light. So if you see here, there are 3 timers used. Timer number 1, 10 seconds. Timer number 2, yellow light, 3 seconds. And timer number 3, 10 seconds. And from the Automation Studio HMI library, we build this traffic light here. Now I'll simulate this particular circuit. I'll start the PLC. So for 10 seconds, the red and green light will be on. 9, 10. Now yellow will blink for 3 seconds. It will reverse the connection now. Yeah. Okay. And the PLC is doing all this controlling here in the background. You can see the timer counting here. Okay, so this is there is no hydraulics, no pneumatics here. It is just a animation controlled by a real PLC. And we also have a washing machine. I've seen a practical somewhere. Okay. Now in this washing machine, in one of the syllabuses, it was written very specifically that operate the washing machine, water should come in for 10-20 seconds. Then the heater has to be turned on. Then heater has to go off, and then the water has to be drained. So this animation is built for that. Start the simulation. Okay. The PLC is controlling this 2D animation. In Automation Studio, you can create these 2D animations. So for 10 seconds, water is coming in. After 10 seconds, machine will rotate. Then after 10 seconds, water will drain out of the system here. So such type of mechatronics practicals you can create. I want to just show you 2 more before we end this session. One small one I want to show you, that is of, where is that? Car parking was mentioned in one of your syllabuses. So we have a car parking animation also. Okay, so we have a PLC and a car parking animation. So first we'll reverse all the cars. Okay, so first one car will come inside. The PLC is operating this console here. The moment the car goes in slot number 1, you can see that the first slot is filled up here. Similarly, we'll do the other cars. Second car, third car. And now you can see all 3 lots are full and the light for no space has come on here. Okay, so such type of PLC animation simulation can be done in Automation Studio. So this was car park. Then another small electrical type based mechatronic system is that for where is that gone? A car fan system. In your car, you have these blowers, high, low, and then you're diverting the air to the top vents, to the bottom vents. So we have this small electrical circuit for this. So in this electrical circuit, number 1, you can change the speed, because on your car, you have this high-low speed changer here. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, so we put on the vent, and then by using this electrical circuit, you can change the blower speed here. And on the top here, you can change this to floor defrost mix. Okay, this is a car venting system. So such type of practical, I think I've tried to cover as much. There was more to show, but we have run out of time. Otherwise, in the PLC section, there's a huge list of experiments I wanted to show today. But I think I've covered everything. So we'll now shift to any question answers. We've also had the student projects, a lot of student projects which students have done in Automation Studio. So any queries now? I'll answer those.
Participants, please unmute yourself and ask questions. You can ask questions by unmute yourself, or you can ask questions by putting in the chat box also.
I'm going through your chat box. Okay. Okay, I don't see any technical queries. So I'm assuming that it was you all have understood all the type of practicals which we covered today. So most of the queries are related to, I think, sales. So our sales people will get back to you. If you have anything technical before I log off, please let you can put in the chat room, or you can unmute and talk to me. There was a question: how can we use the systems in steel industries? In steel industries, there is a lot of different problems. Typically, there are steel roller things which are operated by hydraulics pneumatics, and these rollers are controlled by hydraulic pistons. And Automation Studio does thermal simulation also. So what happens is, in steel mills, these hydraulic circuits, the liquid has to be kept at a particular temperature, because as the temperature keeps changing, the viscosity of the fluid changes, and the gap between the steel rolling out, which is coming out a very high steel, the steel can go waste because the thickness starts changing. So there are circuits which do this control of this steel coming out. And there are other, yes, there are forging pistons which go and do forging of particular components using hydraulics pneumatics. So yes, you can use.
Any questions, participants? You can unmute yourself and you can ask, or otherwise you can put the questions in the chat box also.
So I think there are no. Yeah, there was a question by. Okay, one question was from Mr. Anil Karanjkar. Cross-sectional view of hydraulic pneumatic components. Yes. While simulation is going on, you just right click on the component, you can see the cross-sectional animation. It actually is coordinated with the simulation. In cross-section, you can see the piston moving up and down. Yes, we have cross-sectional components. Another question was by Suman Mujumdar, can you design mechanisms? Yes, mechanisms can be done in a very, very powerful manner in Automation Studio. Automation Studio has a specific module known as Mechanism Manager. And in this Mechanism Manager, you can do things like if a piston is mounted on a cantilever arm, and that has got a pivot, and the entire piston is maybe mounted on a clamp joint, and this piston is extracting, and on that cantilever, there is a load at maybe 30% of extension, there's a load of 1.5 tons, and there's gravity acting. How will this entire mechanism behave? Or if there are two pistons whose piston rods are shorted together, and it is acting as a rock breaking mechanism, yes, you can simulate mechanisms very, very powerfully in Automation Studio, but it was not in the scope of a mechanical diploma syllabus, so I did not show that. But yes, Sunam Majumdar, mechanisms can be done very, very well in Automation Studio. What about, there's a question by Tanmay Thorat, that what about market? Okay, now the issue about market is that Automation Studio has got a professional version of the software. in which there are catalogs available. So there are more than 45 industry based catalogs. For example, the entire catalogs of Eaton, Parker, Danfoss, Hydroforce, and you name the company, there are more than 40 to 50,000 catalog components available in Automation Studio in the industry. So people like, let's say Komatsu, John Deere, Caterpillar, Eaton, they're all using Automation Studio for their design. And they have the entire catalogs available to them. So you don't even have to see in Automation Studio, you can open a component and enter the values from the specification sheet of a component which you buy from the market. That is one method. But if you want to actually have a catalog by number, you can go to Eaton pump category, pump number, PVG1, something, something, something. You can pick it up and put it in a circuit. It will behave exactly the way the industry component behaves. So there are 40 to 50,000 catalog components available in the industry for the professional people. So yes, they are one-to-one match. These Automation Studio sits with the manufacturers of components, and they develop these catalogs. So even your walls, pressure reliever, because see, catalog components are very different from what you see in textbooks. In catalogs, there are things like proportional PVG groups of what do you call it? Cascading walls, PVG 132, PVG 120, then Eaton stack wall. These are very, very different from what you see in textbooks. You cannot even compare them, but they are available for in the industry. Any free Android app for students of diploma engineering? No, we do not have that. Anything else?
Participants, please ask your questions in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask to the Praveen sir. Also, I have put feedback form link in the chat box, so you can give your feedback also.
Thank you so much for your response. Yes, we don't have a demo version for this Automation Studio software, but for your faculties, another faculties, we can do in-depth demonstration. Okay, you will have to just mail me your name and your college name and when you want the demonstration. Okay, so also we don't have an Android app. And for commercial talk, for the commercial queries and the quotation, you will have to just mail me. My mail ID is megha@indiasoft.co.in. I have put that mail ID in the chat box, and please give us your valuable feedback. Okay, and also in the future, if you want anything like software, hardware, you will have to just mail me. Okay, we will solve your queries. And thank you so much for your massive response. Thank you.
Okay, just for ending, Mr. Suman Majumdar. Suman, are you still there? One small thing I want to show you, because your question is very specific. I assume you are teaching degree. So just one small.
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I'm here. You can tell me.
Yeah. So
Hello.
I just want to show. Yeah. You want to see a mechanism, right? So I'll just show you
Yes.
a mechanism.
Okay.
I'll show a mechanism as well as I'll show you industry catalog component. These are two queries which I assume are from professors who are not in diploma. Okay. So, okay, now I'll show you a small case of a mechanism manager. Okay. Now see, in this circuit, there are two circuits. The circuit on the left-hand side has got a pump, valve, and a piston attached. The right-hand side circuit is a free cylinder. Can I continue? Can I continue? Okay. Yeah. So these are two cylinders which are totally separate from the circuit point of view. But in real life, what we have done is we've taken a metal rod and we've clamped these two piston rods together. Okay. So this mechanism is built in something known as a mechanism manager here. This is what a mechanism manager looks like. This is defined here. So if I simulate this particular circuit and I operate the piston on the left hand side, because they are welded to each other, it will pull out the right hand side piston here.
Okay.
Now another interesting thing, if I go to the second piston here and I say jam the particular piston, I can activate failures in Automation Studio. I say jam this, and if I try to resimulate, you see it cannot pull out the piston length. So it could be multiple pistons, it could be cantilever chain, it could be pivot joints, it could be excavator arm. A lot of things can be done, and just one or two small things before we end. We also have something known as a 3D interface also in Automation Studio.
Final grade or subject grade or
I want to show one catalog component, then I'll. We have a 3D interface for people wanting to do work in that particular area. We have a 3D modeler, which is not so powerful like Ideas, CATIA, and all these, but you can import 3D parts in Automation Studio. You can assemble them and link them to your hydraulic pneumatic circuits. So this is also possible. Okay, this is possible. Then we also have industry catalogs. Just give me 10 seconds and then we'll wrap up this. So anyone doing projects for the industry, you have to buy the professional version in case you're doing any sort of work. And in there are 40 to 50,000 industry-based components, and they are directly from the catalogs. It is like buying a component from the market and assembling a particular system here. So if you see this, this is what catalog components are. And we have a catalog manager here, okay, for professional people. So if you go here, you have this entire list of catalog components available here. Okay, so all you have to do is plug play with these components here. And for example, there are valves also here, proportional valves, pump side modules, then basic modules here. All these can be plugged into each other, and you can directly build circuits like this. You see that this is by the model number of the particular manufacturer, and the flow curves, the internal values of what that actually component has been manufactured by Eaton or any of these companies, Bosch or Rexroth, those are all inbuilt. Those characteristics are there in these components. They are not just CAD drawings. They are intelligent components here. Okay. So I think I'll wrap up this demo.
Please
Thank you, everybody.
Please fill the feedback form.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
We are wrapping this session, so please.
We are wrapping up the session in next 2 minutes. If any queries, you can ask. You can unmute yourself and ask question to the Praveen sir, or please put in the chat box. We are wrapping up the session in next 2 minutes. Any questions?
And in the feedback form, you can mention which software are you using right now for this hydraulic, pneumatic, mechatronics. You can put that software name in the feedback form also, so that you will get information about this. And also in the future also, if you want any software and any hardware, we will very happy to serve you.
In the middle of this, I have to cut it. No, nothing. The degree professors teaching.
And also in the feedback form, you can put that if you want in-depth demonstration for the faculties of your college, that information also you can put in the feedback form. Okay, now we are wrapping the session. Thank you so much for your response.
Participants, thank you for your response. If you have any queries, still you can mail us on megha@indiasoft.co.in, and we will come back soon with the more webinars on Automation Studio. Thank you.